I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may.
Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone and you're watching The Daily Question. If you've got an article or a piece of movie news or a question or a topic that you want me to explore on The Daily Question, then please send me an email or tweet it at me. The details are in the video description below. Without any further ado, let's get into today's question of the day. Is the brand new Netflix movie Cargo worth watching? Now, for those who haven't seen Cargo and you don't want any spoilers at all, you haven't even watched the trailer for Cargo, then there are going to be some mild spoilers in this video. If you've seen the trailer, those mild spoilers are already in the trailer, so don't panic. I'm not going to go beyond that. But if you don't want anything at all, you don't want to know a single thing about this film, turn off the video now and come back later. You have been warned. So Cargo is a brand new Netflix film. It's an extension of an original 7-minute short film that's been on the internet for about 5 years or so now. I remember watching and really enjoying the original 7-minute short film. It's a zombie movie. It's made by a group of Australians and it's set in Australia. It stars Martin Freeman and he's awesome. He's really good in this role. It's a film that is made on a budget and made from a concept that worked really well in a 7-minute short film. And it's always a risk when you expand out to a film that is now 100 minutes or approximately 100 minutes long, how that's all going to work out, but they do it really, really well. It's a very cleverly crafted film like that. So what they do is, the original concept of the short film, it just wouldn't have worked. If you'd extended that concept out for 140 minutes, sorry, 1 hour and 40 minutes, it wouldn't have worked. So what the writers cleverly did was they added stuff before the concept, the key concept of the short film kicks in, and then they built a whole lot of other stuff around it, some other characters and scenarios into the story, and it works really, really well. They also added a time factor that basically once you get bitten and you contract the zombie virus, that you have a timer that you wear on your wrist, and it tells you, it gives you a countdown. Basically, you've got a couple of days until you turn. And so that enables the plot to sort of be extended out beyond that normal 7 minutes. And what they do is they take the premise of the original 7-minute short film, for those who have seen it, and they use it as the sort of final act of heroic virtue in this feature film, this feature-length movie. And it works really, really well. Martin Freeman, as I said, is excellent. This is a role that's not your typical Martin Freeman type role. He's not playing a role that you would see him playing in The Office, or a sort of action comedy, or a dramedy role, or a rom-com role. It's a very serious role, and he plays it really well. It's a bit different to how you normally see Martin Freeman, but in this movie he shows that he's got some pretty good serious acting chops, and he's a really believable character. You really feel for him, you have a sense of empathy for him on his journey, and the movie does that really well. The first 15 minutes or so, I think, are a little bit slow. The pacing, it just feels a little bit slow. I actually stopped it and went away, and then I came back to it again. I thought, no, I've got to watch this. And once you get past that 15-minute mark and the sort of the main plot kicks off, it really, really takes off from there, and it becomes much more interesting. But the first 15 minutes, just for my liking, just felt a little bit slow. The thing I really like about this film is the fact that I think in a good zombie film, the zombies should never be the main focus of attention. I think in a good zombie film, what you do is, the zombies are simply a plot device, or they are a metaphor. They're a plot device to scare, to drive fear, to create drama and tension, or they are a metaphor for some sort of social issue of some kind or other. And in this movie, the zombies, they don't play a huge role. In fact, it's possibly one of the better zombie movies that's been made, where the zombies don't actually feature in a major way. And that's okay, and in fact that's really good writing, because what really matters in this film is the fact that Martin Freeman's character is going to become a very serious and deadly threat to his baby daughter very, very soon. Within a matter of about 48 hours, he is going to be a threat. He will be a zombie himself. And so that's the threat. And so it just muddies the water having a whole lot of other zombies floating around, or lots and lots of zombies in this film. I think it would have distracted away from the fact that Martin Freeman's character, he's the threat, and that's the danger. He's a danger to himself, what he can and can't do as he gets sicker, and he's also going to be a danger to his daughter. And the film focuses in on that, and it does it really, really well. I think what's also awesome about this film is that it's very character-driven. It focuses in on the characters. It follows their stories. There are some issues with what you might call the zombie lore. It's a little bit confusing. They don't give you heaps of details, which is okay. I don't have a problem with that. But in saying that, I don't think it distracts from the movie in any major way. There's just a few little things, like the zombies have a hibernation aspect to the virus and to their zombieism. There's also the way in which there's sort of a blood thing and a sound thing, so they're attracted to sound, to blood, to the taste of flesh, to smell, obviously, is a factor as well. But it's just, some of that stuff's a little bit loose, but it doesn't actually distract from the film. It doesn't destroy the experience of the film, because once again, it doesn't really matter too much, because the main focus of this film is not the zombie lore and not the zombies themselves. It's actually Martin Freeman, and the fact that within 48 hours, he is going to try and bite his daughter unless something changes. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to know about the other zombies, and you don't need to know about what's going to happen to him as a zombie beyond that point. You just need to know that point, and that's the thing that really drives the plot and keeps the story moving. So once that kicks into gear, after about the 15-minute mark, the film just moves in a really, really good way. There is some political messaging in the movie, but it's more of a subtext. You're not hit over the head with it. I don't know if the sort of environmentalism type message, there's a theme, a sub-theme that sort of is there of environmentalism. I don't know if that's really justified, because they never really make a concrete link between that and the zombie virus. It's a pretty weak sort of, they sort of try and hint at this idea that, you know, our degradation and pollution of the environment has led to this scenario, but it's never really linked in a satisfying or meaningful kind of way, so I'm not sure it's really justified. There's also there's some issues. It's set in Australia, and there is the whole subtext of racism towards the Aboriginal people of Australia. But again, it's not such a heavy-handed political messaging that you ever feel like you're being hectored or lectured, or you never want to stop and say, just stop it, film, stop lecturing me about politics, just show me the story. It's just there, and it's not so heavy-handed that it ever pulls you out of the film. Overall, this is a really, really good film. I enjoyed it. It's got its problems and its issues, but I think it's one of the better Netflix films that's been made to date. Martin Freeman is awesome. He really carries the film. I don't know how it would have gone with another actor. He really, really does carry this film. And it's a really enjoyable film, which actually I think does what zombie films should do. A couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago now, I reviewed Ravenous. And Ravenous is the exact opposite of this film. Ravenous was not well constructed. The story doesn't quite make sense in places. And there's a whole lot of issues with Ravenous that are not here in this film. Cargo is actually a really good, really well-made, independent, I'm guessing independent, I didn't see too much big studio backing beyond Netflix, Australian movie. And it just goes to show, I think, that there is still life to be found in the zombie genre. It's just a matter of being creative about that. So if you enjoy the zombie genre, or even if you don't enjoy the zombie genre too much, but you like a good sort of character-driven, suspenseful film that has some heart and some depth to it, then Cargo is definitely well worth the watch. The floor is now open. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've seen the movie, please let me know what you think. If you like the content I'm creating and you'd like to see more of it, then please support me on Patreon. There is a link in the description below and a link at the end of this video. And don't forget, if you've got questions or movie news or anything that you want to send to me for the Daily Question, those details are in the description below as well. That's right, I can also hear the sound of my theme music, so we're back for another week. I'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Question.